Hi everyone. A bit of a different video today. I've got a friend, fellow survivor and empath that wants to share their experience. Please listen fully. Um, it is a bit of a tragic experience. There is also a GoFundMe that will be in the description box. So if you could check that out, even if you don't donate, you can always share it. You know, just that will give you more of an insight to the cause and stuff like that as well. But please do listen to the video fully before you even click the link, or so you can hear the story from the friend, fellow survivor and empath. So I hope this video will help some of you in some sort of way as well, and you can actually benefit from the experience, even though it's a tragic experience. Hopefully you can benefit from it too, or learn some wisdom from it too. So thank you for listening, and my friend will take over from now. Peace.
Hello, I'm here speaking with you today about my family member. Her name is Ciara. But just to give you a little bit of a background on me, my name is Snooky. I am also a fellow survivor of narcissistic abuse. I have experience with psychological abuse and post-separation abuse too, which are, as you may well know, some of the many types of abuse we can experience in our personal lives and our relationships too. I do have a lot of personal experience in the area, in the understanding and within the community around narcissistic abuse, and in terms of the healing journey for victims and survivors sort of thereafter. But I am here today to share Ciara's story with you. So Ciara sadly passed away on Friday, just gone. So that was on the 12th of July, at just 24 years old. So she was very, very young. Ciara was a mummy. She has a beautiful son. He's 3 years old, and it's been hard. Yes, it has. And in all of this tragedy, the biggest thing that stands out for me is what is left behind. That is family, friends, and anyone who really knew Ciara, and all of these people who have genuinely been left devastated by Ciara's unexpected death. But most of all, what sticks out in my mind when I'm thinking about what's left behind is a little boy, a 3-year-old boy who's lost his mummy. So I'm going to talk about this to you today, and it is going to be a bit of a hard story to hear, so please take care of yourself with my delivery of this story. This is a real story, real circumstances. This is something that is happening now in our lives as I speak, and it is very real for all of us, all of Ciara's family. So I am going to try and deliver this in a way that is respectful of the family's wants and needs, and in a way that is sensitive to sort of where they are at this really difficult time. So what I want to speak about to you today is firstly just to highlight some of the important things that we need to remember and focus on in our own healing journeys. So whether that's from our sort of life experiences, or whether it is from trauma or domestic abuse or narcissistic abuse in general. So I am going to get onto that, so please bear with me. Obviously, as you probably understand, this is very raw for me and all of us at the moment. So I'm going to try my best to deliver what I want to communicate with you today. So Ciara was a very beautiful young lady who was full of joy. Her close family members have described her as always having such a huge smile on her face. She did have rough times, as we all do. She did face some challenges along the way. And as you can imagine, I mean, if you think about your own life, we all have bumps in the road. And Ciara had her bumps in the road too, but she was always so kind and so loving. So recently, her sister had mentioned to me, and after Ciara had passed, she said to me about Ciara. Ciara loved love, and it was really emotional for me to hear that. But after all that's happened, and really after the worst thing that could ever happen to Ciara, and now Ciara has passed, after that, you know, one of the first things one of her really close family members has said to me is that Ciara loved love, and that Ciara loved to be loved. And that sort of really hit home when I heard that. And I know in the narcissistic abuse community particularly, we do talk about self-love, we do talk a lot about the healing journey, we talk a lot about being stronger in ourselves and really becoming the best version of ourselves. And of course this is really very important for all of us. It's always important, and the healing journey is forever and it is ongoing. So I am not trying to take anything away from that. It is important, of course, but we are social beings, and that can't be disputed really. We do like to be loved. A lot of us sort of have found ourselves in certain situations and experiencing abuse. And when you look back, most of us can probably say to ourselves, I just wanted to be loved, or I was just loving a person. And from that love and how it was received and how that love was returned to us, many of us can sit back and we can say how that love was returned to us. You know, it was not in a healthy way, and that love that was returned to us, or that version of love, was not good for us at times. So as you know, in seeking and maintaining love and relationships, it can be a beautiful, powerful, and it can be a very enriching thing in our lives if it's done in the right way, with the right person at the right time. But on the other side of that, it also can be something that is harmful and hurtful. It can be traumatizing, and it can also, in some cases, sadly, lead down the road of us becoming harmed, whether that is physically or emotionally. But at the heart of it all, as survivors, if you think about your own journey, we all just wanted to be loved, or we were seeking love, and we were also giving love as well. So it is something that is difficult to think about, but at least we know on a self-reassurance level that we did give love to the best of our abilities at the time, many of us, and we did do or try our best for our partners, or whomever it is that comes to your mind when I'm speaking today. We try to love them. We just have to recognize and understand now that we have to understand and recognize and start to process really that love that we got back was not the love that we really deserve. It was not the love that was healthy. It was the love that harmed us, you know, and it wasn't the love that was transcending or building us up. The way that the love we experienced, or that version of love was given to us, was really, when you think about it, very, very toxic and harmful to us as people. So that's something that is really key and important for us to think about when you're thinking about your journey as well. So going back to Ciara, obviously for the purpose of the video today, she did have a difficult relationship to my understanding, and this was a romantic relationship. She had some difficulties before in the form of romantic relationships previous to the most recent relationship, and they were known to be hard times. And as with all of us, Ciara had some challenges in most of her romantic relationships, and that really did have an impact, as it does with all of us, on our well-being and mental health as well. So what this has led to, really, it was a very unhealthy relationship that Ciara had with another person. And I won't go into too much details, as I mentioned to you a little earlier. This is a current issue. We don't know all of the details medically around what has happened to Ciara, and we don't know all of the social details in terms of the relationship that she had with this other person. We don't know all of those dynamics, or even all of those details, really, that are around this situation. But the relationship that Ciara was in has been sort of described as quite secretive, in the sense that it wasn't very known about, it wasn't public, not many people knew that this relationship was happening, or what the characteristics of this relationship were, really. It was a fairly new relationship as well, so that just gives you a bit of an idea, but I won't go into too much more detail about that. But essentially, what has come to a head on Thursday last week was that an altercation had happened, and after this altercation, Ciara at some point went into cardiac arrest. An ambulance had to be called to the place where Ciara was and where this incident had happened. Again, I can't really give intricate details, but I'm sure that you can probably imagine what I am talking about today. And it is really just because this is a very sensitive and very real situation, but also I can't give too many details because there is an active police investigation as well, so I can't really say too much in terms of the details, or the finite details of the situation. But there was an incident between two people, and this has resulted in Ciara going into a cardiac arrest on Thursday and having to receive emergency and life-preserving medical care to sort of increase the chances of saving Ciara's life, really. There was a bit of hope in the beginning, and that's because the medical teams, or the paramedics, had detected a heartbeat. So for this reason, Ciara was taken to the hospital, and Ciara was given all the care and all of the treatment possible and that was available to her. I will just briefly say that the medical teams and the nursing teams involved with Ciara's situation were truly amazing, and they really fought for Ciara. And they did everything that they could do possible for Ciara to try and offer her really the best chance of survival that they could. So I'm very thankful for that. But by Friday morning, so the next day, around about the same time, it became very, very apparent to all of us, but particularly the medical team, that there was really no chance of survival with the injuries that Ciara had suffered, because of the complications that those injuries had left, those complications that had come from the cardiac arrest. So from that experience that Ciara went through, ultimately there was not really a chance of survival, and that hope that we did have was really just the fact that there was a heartbeat detected. And as I said, everything was given to Ciara in terms of medical care. All of the hope and the prayers were offered to Ciara and to God, and just really all of us asking for the best outcome. But ultimately, Ciara did not survive. So at 24 years old, this is a very tragic and unexpected death. It was not a drug-induced death or anything like that. This death has come from whatever happened in that scenario on that day and in that moment. So as I mentioned earlier, Ciara has left behind her beautiful little boy. He is 3 years old. He doesn't really know what's going on. He just knows that mummy is not here. So we are all just sort of supporting the family, loving the family. All you can really do in these really hard times, in these moments, is to give love. is to keep loving and to keep supporting each other. But obviously we all go back to our own homes and our own beds in the evenings, and each of those individuals, each family member is left alone with their thoughts, and that's obviously a hard challenge in itself. So the reason why I am telling you Ciara's story today is because we have lost a life that didn't need to be lost. Ciara was healthy-bodied and of healthy mind, and she had a lot of life ahead of her and a lot of love to give and a lot of experiences ahead of her. But unfortunately and very, very sadly, that has been cut short for Ciara and everyone who loved her. And not only has Ciara lost her life, but it's impacted so many people around Ciara and this situation. And what's stuck out to me, obviously, is the sadness and the deep grieving process, and the more things to come in understanding every fine detail of what really happened and what played out for Ciara that day. But there is also a really strong desire in me to share Ciara's story, because so many of us find ourselves or have found ourselves in risky or dangerous situations with somebody we love or with somebody who's supposed to love us. And I just wanted to say that it's not always easy to walk away from a partner or a person that we have a connection with and sort of go no contact, or to follow the advice given or safety advice that's given. Sometimes that involve us walking away from those situations. Obviously, keeping yourself safe is the most important thing, if you can do it. But some people feel that they are not in the position, for whatever reason, to keep themselves safe. It may be that their mental health is not in the right place to even completely understand how vulnerable they really are. So really, the question is, how can you keep yourself safe if you don't even completely understand the risk that's in front of you, really? So I am sharing with you today to open up the conversation, or to highlight really that if there is a risk to you personally, if there's a risk to your safety or the safety of a friend or a loved one, whatever that risk is, whether it's physical in terms of sort of domestic violence or abuse, but even if it's psychological or emotional harm that you're at risk of, these are very, very serious forms of abuse and very harmful to us all, really. And you know, it's really important that you do not continue to engage in those risks in any way, really at all. I want to just say that you shouldn't or don't take the chance with a risky situation. You know, if you see a risk, listen to yourself, get yourself away from it in whatever way you can. Keep talking. As with all narcissistic abuse survivors, we must keep talking, even if people don't understand us, or even when people don't listen. If you just keep talking, watching videos, or seeking support in your own way, somebody will hear you and somebody will listen to you eventually. And that can lead down the path of keeping you safe mentally and physically as well. So, you know, we do love these people. We have loved these people for a time, but I must say they are never worth your mental health. They are never worth your well-being. They are never ever worth a life, and they certainly are never ever worth risking taking a mother away from their child. So that might not resonate with you now or to you personally, but there may be a person in your life that you know is experiencing harm or even potentially at risk of harm. And if there is somebody This may be you or somebody else. There are places that you can call in your country, in your town, in your city. There are people or places or organisations that are there to listen to you and who can talk to you about yourself or somebody else. And there are people who you can speak to and you can say, just look, I can see a risk or a potential risk to me or to this person, mentally or physically. Can I have support, or can I have some guidance on how to help myself or another person? That is what they are there for. So please use those resources that are around you. We do all procrastinate at times. We all say, you know, maybe we'll call someone tomorrow or next week, or maybe if it's an abusive relationship, we might say, oh, I'll just wait until next week or next month to see if things get better. We all do think and say these things, but we can't take the chance. Life is so precious. We are only here for a very short time. You know, it is a very, very short time that we get here on earth, really, when you think about it. And it does go so quickly. We are supposed to be here to love each other and to have really lovely experience. And yes, you know, the world can be a dark place. Yes, it can. But the world can also be a very beautiful place too. So we must keep reminding ourselves of that, and we must keep reminding our loved ones of this too. It is never worth it. These people, these relationships, and these risks are never worth it. So I hope that what I've shared with you hasn't been too hard for you today. You know, sit down if you need to, have a drink, you know, take 5 minutes. But what I would like you to do is to really think about what I have shared with you today and what this means to you and what this could mean to your loved ones. And just always try to do whatever you can to keep yourself or your family safe, or your loved ones, or whoever you've been thinking about while I've been talking with you today, because you mean so much to so many people around you, even if you don't see it or hear it. Even sort of in the community of narcissistic abuse, or in abuse communities in general, we do care about each other, we do want what's best for each other, and we do want the best outcomes for you and your families. And all we can do really, you know, is keep loving and to keep supporting. So I ask you today, what I ask you today is do what you can, you know. Sometimes you don't know what to do or where to turn, but please just reach out to someone, speak to someone, because it can, you know, you can turn this very bad or risky situation into a much better situation for yourself or for your loved one, even when it hurts, even when it's harmful to you in some way. Whether you or your loved one is, you know, dealing with something really difficult right now or has done in the past, the situation they find themselves in can and will get better with, you know, the right support. But just know, the main thing I want to share is that we must stay away from these people. We can't keep taking these risks. We just can't. And as you've heard now, with Ciara, nothing can be done, you know. The worst thing that could have happened has happened, and all we want to do now is to give Ciara the best send-off that we can, and to support her lovely little son who is 3, and we want to support that in the best way that we can at such a difficult time, and also for the future ahead. We do have a GoFundMe link that will be attached to this video somewhere, so it is available for you to look at that link. Maybe you can have a look at it, find a little bit more about Ciara's story, and even if you just look at it, you know, have a look at the story, and if I can ask you to share the link to the GoFundMe for Ciara with whoever you can, and sort of so that we can all cast the net a little bit wider so this story can reach other people who may need it, or for those who may perhaps want to donate or support Ciara's situation and her family. So there are more details about this somewhere below, so please do take a look at that page or that link. If you can't donate, please don't worry about that. Obviously a donation is great, it's very helpful, but that is not the purpose of why I'm talking about this to you today. You know, if you can donate, of course, that is wonderful, but if you can't donate, honestly, the strength and power in you just sharing this message is enough. So please do that if you can, and the details, as I mentioned, will be in the description box or attached to this video in some way. So I won't go on about that too much. The details are there for you should you like to share and support Ciara's story. But again, the main reason I am here and speaking to you today, and what I've mentioned to you earlier, is that the worst thing for Ciara has happened now, and for all of us that are dealing with the aftermath of that. And obviously there are things to deal with in wake of what's happened, but the best thing I can sort of draw on, or the most positive thing that I can share with you at this moment, is to remind you to keep yourself safe, keep your eyes and your ears open. Even, you know, sometimes all of us, we go into denial and we try to avoid something, or we say, let's just see how it goes, or let's wait until next week and we can reassess the situation. When it comes to a risk of harm in any way, whether that's psychological abuse, which is very damaging and traumatic, but also when it comes to physical harm, it only takes a few seconds or a few minutes, and that's when you find there's no time anymore. You know, when someone is fighting for their life, they don't have time anymore. So when it comes to your situation, or the situation with the person that you are involved with, or whom this message might relate to, there really is no time. There is not time for you to engage in these risks at all. But there is time to seek help now. Please do take this time to seek the help you can today or now in a way that is safe for you and your loved ones. Please make sure, if you are at risk, that you are seeking appropriate support. This can be online or over the phone or in person, but you must, you know, seek support if you are not in a safe situation. And also, if you're using online services like web chat support or something like that, if you're still at risk, or, you know, in a dangerous situation, you must ensure that you cover your tracks online. But what I will say to you again, I want to be quite clear on this. You must get away as quickly as you can. Go to a friend's house, go to a doctor's practice, or even to a person that you trust in your community. Just tell somebody, you know, you can say, look, there's a risk or a potential risk to my safety. There will be a way of working this out, and I know that it seems like an unresolvable problem when you're in it. You know, you'll ask yourself, how can I get support? How am I going to get away? How am I going to get through this? And maybe money or finances are a factor too, but it is always possible to seek safety and support, irrespective of your circumstances. There are services, individuals and resources available to you if you seek them, and use them for what you need them for. And like I said, even if that, you know, even if you support somebody else who may be at risk of harm, there are ways of contacting services and opening up these discussions online or over the phone. So please do explore these options safely. And so my main message to you, or my final sort of message to you today, is one that I will repeat to you again, is please don't take the risk. It is not worth it. And so I just want to say thank you for your time today, and thank you for the space. May your journey ahead be blessed, full of light, safe, and have, you know, I wish that you have some times of joy too. So please take care. Bye bye.